Like they're getting hyped for everybody. Like they're sharing the love. We're trying to hype up our own teams, even though I mean let's be honest, it's not been that great here for us. It's been pretty embarrassing if I'm just not going to mince any words about it. But hey, sometimes that's the way everything ends up shaking out. But the fans are definitely not the ones dropping the ball anywhere.
Let me know when you're ready. Awesome. Hey, everybody. Robert Haynes of the Game House here, and I'm here with CaptainFlowers. I got to get your quick reaction. That game was insane. Like, what do you even have to say about it?
So the interesting part that you guys didn't get to see is so we're watching it backstage in the caster green room, right? Now, for like me and Azael and the other NA people, we don't have any skin in the game. But for all of the EU casters, they are on the edges of their seats. Like they are the #1 GAM fans in the world for this game because it puts Rogue through. Absolutely. If Top lost the game. And so when it gets down to that crazy thing, when it looks like they're going to lose because Top gets the Elder, it was just pure doom and gloom. And then they fail to take the Nexus and they go back, and then you can just hear like the clapping and the like erupting all like adjacent rooms. There were a lot of new GAM fans wearing EU jerseys after that one. I'm going to tell you that.
I can't wait to see more of their reactions to it. Let's get to a couple of questions for you. I believe this is your first Worlds in NA, if I'm correct. Is that right?
Yeah, last NA Worlds was 2016. I joined in January of 2017 with the LCS. So I've never got to do it before.
I love hearing that because that makes this question valid. How have you felt so far? Have you really enjoyed it? Is it nice to not have to travel so far, or how are you feeling with it?
So one of the biggest things about this is we actually get to be here at the event with the fans, with the players, at the games. So much of the modern like League of Legends international landscape is remote these days. And obviously COVID and everything shutting down played a huge role in that. But even before it, 2017 was the last year where the majority of international events still traveled for the commentators, right? Like 2018 Worlds, the last time that was one of the last times that I really remember traveling, because that's the year that I did the world final.
That's right.
And we traveled to Korea for it, but the rest of it was remote.
Oh.
And then 2019, I'm just going to be honest here. I do not remember a single thing about 2019 Worlds besides the grand final because I had bronchitis the entire time with a fever. I was stuck in a hotel room. I literally cannot remember a single game of that entire tournament. It is a blank slate in my head. So just with 2018 being that last one that really has a strong standout memory in my mind, because I was sick in 2019, because 2020 and then because 2020 was remote, and then 2021 I skipped for my own personal reasons. Like this one is really the first one that feels like it has that same ump for me since 2018.
Which is honestly just incredible, and I'm personally glad to be seeing you out there doing it. I gotta ask, have you ever been to New York City before?
No, I actually haven't. This is one of the few like big American destinations that I've never made it to before. Like, I've been to Chicago, I've been to DC, I live in LA, but I'd never been to New York before.
Okay, so what's your impression of it, and was there anything that you needed to go see while you're here?
So it is a very interesting place. Azael had, if you guys missed the Twitter thread, Azael had an encounter with some crazy characters at a food cart that ended up resulting in a whole adventure. I'll put it this way. It's a very interesting place to go to and visit and tell stories about. I wouldn't be able to live here. It's just too much. Funny enough, it's too much noise for me. Oh. Like, I'm a very boisterous, like, over-the-top type of person, but I like my environments to actually be the exact opposite. I find a lot of, like, stability in having, like, peace and tranquility around me. Yeah. So New York's a little bit too hustle and bustle for me to ever be like, yeah, I'm going to make a home base here, but it's a lot of fun to visit. There's a lot of things to see. So many different things just going on all the time.
Love to hear that, and I'm sure the New York people, they probably get it. I know I do as a Midwesterner as well. So the crowd here has been insane, especially with like C9 playing the other day, EG playing, and 100 Thieves coming up. Have you been proud of NA fans showing up here and giving it their all?
Yeah, North American fans are doing great, honestly, and not just for North America. Like we're seeing, like you heard the GAM. Like they're getting hyped for everybody. Like they're sharing the love. We're trying to hype up our own teams, even though I mean, let's be honest, it's not been that great here for us. It's been pretty embarrassing if I'm just not going to mince any words about it. But hey, sometimes that's the way everything ends up shaking out. But the fans are definitely not the ones dropping the ball anywhere. They've been awesome. The crowd's been great. People are just getting fired up no matter who's playing. It's been a pretty incredible thing here so far.
Yeah, I agree, and I really hope it carries over. Now, I got some questions about the cast. So, Some of these people you've never casted with before, right? So,
well, yeah, that's
right. So, like some of them, like how do you find your groove with somebody who you haven't had, now years of practice with?
So pretty much what it is I always like to have a short conversation with them beforehand. Just be like, hey, what are the big things that you want to be talking about this game? Specifically for me as a play-by-play commentator, with these guys being color commentators, I want to set them up to be able to talk about the analytical points and the discussions and the breakdowns that they want to have, right? So that's one thing that I'll always ask, just be like, hey, is there anything in specific you want me to set you up for here? And they'll be like, oh, well, I just want to talk about, this team's mid laner. I think he's going to be a big story because yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll make a mental note of that. I'll be paying attention for what to do. And then a lot of it is just, so much of it is actually just based on interacting with them as a person and not just a caster, like being able to have like a level of banter, a level of camaraderie, a level of conversation. And so that is one of the things, at least like for like Dagda. I casted with Dagda for the first time in the play-in stage of this year. Dagda's been over to my house and hung out in my living room and played old PlayStation games with me and Raz and some of the guys before. It's been great. So I had like a bit more of an intuition of knowing like, okay, what this guy's personality is going to be, how to go back and forth, how to sort of do that. And I had a lot of fun working with him. And then the big thing is I just make sure between every game just be like, hey, does that cast feel good? Is there anything we want to change? Do we want to keep rolling with more of that? Just sort of always checking in whenever you have the chance to just see if there's any little things that you want to change that we felt we tripped over or something like that. And as long as the communication stays open and clear, it's going to be a dunk.
I love hearing that, and I guess that kind of leads into my last serious question, I'll call it. Okay. Was there anybody who you were really looking forward to casting with who you don't normally get to cast with?
Caedrel was the big one. Because Caedrel is that's the one that the fans have been clamoring for so long, because Caedrel and I had just perfectly missed each other in terms of our professional involvement with League of Legends for a while. Caedrel came into the scene kind of like during the whole Rona lockdown where everything was region locked. So even like Worlds 2020, which I casted, you look back at that tournament, it's like, yeah, but everybody was region locked. NA was only with NA, EU was only with EU because of technical difficulties. And then last year, me taking Worlds off for that year meant that there was no interaction there. So everybody was really wanting to see the CaptainFlowers and Caedrel cast, and then we got to do that. So that was a lot of fun.
I will tell you, I was very much looking forward to it, and you guys crushed it. So
yeah,
thank you for doing that. Okay, 2 fun ones.
Okay.
Skarner's getting changed next year.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to most and hoping that they keep or change?
All right, I'm going to try to keep this short because I could do this for hours. So big things. Ult still needs to be point and click suppressed because it handles the absolutely out of control mobility creep in the game. Should still be a low burst, high sustained damage champion with some sort of ability spam or low cooldown, similar to what the Q is. Like Skarner's identity has always been, he's not like Jarvan where he goes in like, hey, E, Q, W, and then now I've got 8 seconds of cooldowns where I'm just auto attacking you. Yeah. Skarner has uptime, but he never has those huge like burst moments. Yeah. I want them to keep that because I think that's pretty iconic to him being a short range melee fighter, jug, whatever you want to call him. Spire rework out the door. Nobody likes it. Get rid of it. Nerf it. Explode it. Send it to the moon and blow up the moon. Nobody wants that thing anymore. No Spires. W and E, I don't really know anybody, myself included, who plays a lot of Skarner who's super attached to either one of those spells. So I think you can make some pretty sizable changes on those two. Maybe make it more interactive or whatever. The big thing I want is I just hope that they can keep him a like mechanically simple champion, maybe add like more decision making, more skill expression through something like empowered abilities, like what you see on the Udyr rework or something like that. I don't want to have 300 APM and be a StarCraft Grandmaster to play him. That's my thing. All right, I don't play Yasuo for a reason. I don't play Lee Sin for a reason. As long as I can still play him. All
right, you hear that, Riot Devs? He knows what he wants. Last one, staying with creatures here, and I ask this in every LCS interview I do. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Arcanine.
That was so quick. I got to get a why.
Pokemon Blue was the first game that I really played on Game Boy Color back when I was a kid. That was like my first handheld system. And so Pokemon Blue was the one that I played. Arcanine was my first level 100 Pokemon. I like solo everything in the game with him. He's my favorite.
If he gets on Pokemon Unite, any chance we'll start seeing you do some Pokemon Unite casts?
I don't know about that one. But I do love me some Arcanine.
I'd love to hear that. Well, thank you so much for your time. And, keep watching him at Worlds. He's going to be crushing it.
Hell yeah, everybody.